So we've got Queenie is playing. Please repeat. I'm sorry. Please. Cordelia Cherub. And Toby is playing
Zero.
And I'm going to be playing the DM. Everybody already knows my name, so there's no point in repeating it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Everyone just calls me Rosie. And we're going to start playing now. Okay. See if I can remember how I was going to start this. We are starting out in a tavern. Everyone is probably here for their own reasons, but while visiting the tavern at some point in town, your character had seen a small advertisement pinned to a message board in the tavern, basically where the local help signs and such are put up. It was a small note, not very large, penned in slightly wobbly handwriting, asking for any adventurer who is looking to go out and do a bit of work, or anyone who is simply available to come by the tavern at a specific time and date, and ask the tavern owner to lead you to a back room once you had arrived there. Once you have arrived, everyone has arrived, and I'm assuming that you've probably sat down and ordered something for yourself to eat. If you want, you can take a moment and say what it is your character has chosen to eat, or just if they're just kind of staring around, wondering why they're there.
I'd say Zero just ordered water and is looking around curiously.
I don't think Cordelia has ordered anything. She's probably just kind of sitting in her seat, kind of like vibrating with excitement, looking at like everybody and everything, like, oh man, I'm going on my first adventure. This is going to be so great.
Oh, that's adorable. That sounds absolutely adorable. Okay. Now, do you think your characters are rather distracted at least, or not paying a lot of attention?
Yeah, she's probably not. She's very distracted by everything.
Understandable. All right. So I'm going to say that they probably haven't noticed the time, and they haven't noticed that it is now time for the meeting in this back room that you are all sitting in. And the clock strikes, and a white and green UPAN enters the room, looking about rather nervous, but seems both relieved and possibly a little bit anxious as he steps in, coming in as a rather dark shade of green, and fussing with his hands a bit as he steps in. He very carefully sits across the table from the two of you, and says, "Oh, thank goodness. I was rather worried that no one would show up at all." Now, what do you say to this character?
Zero, stay silent.
Cordelia's just like, well, I don't know why someone wouldn't want to help. It's very important to help people who are in need. I want to help people.
The UPAN smiles at you and says, "Oh, well, that's very good to hear. I suppose I should start all this by introducing myself. I'm Rhodey Elder, and I'm the one who wrote the help note. And, well, I'm in a little bit of a bind. You see, I'm not actually a resident of the town myself. I'm a traveler, and I was asked by the local huntsman by the name of Hawkeye to help locate his missing daughter. He seems to be under the impression that she was abducted by a group of bandits." And he pauses, letting this information sink in. Yes?
Zero perks up, his ears perking up a bit as well. And that's it.
Okay. Rhodey continues. "Unfortunately, the bandits are a rather small group, and, well, frankly, I don't think that there has been no sign that his daughter is with them. They haven't sent a ransom note, or there really hasn't been any news. The way Hawkeye explained it to me is that he and his daughter had been hunting. Hawkeye is a fur trader and trapper, apparently. And, well, he was attacked by the group and fled, but when he reached home, his daughter was not with him. They had apparently separated before then, and when she didn't arrive later in the evening, he assumed that she had run into them and was well and been abducted. As I've said, there's been no ransom, and as a fur trader, apparently Hawkeye wouldn't have the money to pay for a ransom at all if there was one. And he has put forward what little money he does have to hire me to figure out where she went. And I've found the bandits, but as I've said, I've found no sign of the girl. And I admit myself I'm getting rather worried about where she could have gone. Unfortunately...
Why do you need help?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry about that. Zero asks, why do you need our help? Why do you need help in the first place?
Well, frankly, the bandits, although a rather small group, well, frankly, I'm not that excellent of a fighter myself. I don't get into a lot of tussles, and I don't have any faith in my own combat ability if I were to try and take them on. Less so if there really was another person I would have to rescue. I think that I would be... Well, I think I'd get us into more trouble than I would getting out.
Cordelia's just kind of nodding solemnly, like, yeah, I've heard bandits are really bad news. She has had no experience with bandits.
Oh, I love her.
Oh, she's adorable.
Zero tilts his head before asking, then why did you accept this job in the first place?
Well, frankly, based on the evidence I was seeing, it didn't seem like the girl was with them at all, but as I've said, there's no evidence to the contrary either. There's been no ransom note, there's been no tracking, and unfortunately the area can't be properly, or at least Hawkeye cannot properly hunt through the area to find her without running into the bandits again, who know that he's there. My coloring made it easier for me to do the searching, but again, there's been no sign of her. I genuinely thought that she'd just, being the daughter of a hunter, she had just decided that she was going to hunker down and wait for things to quiet before she snuck away.
And you couldn't find her?
Not a sign of her. The only place left is the area where I traced the bandits to have hidden themselves.
Or maybe she got eaten by animals. I mean, I hope not, but maybe.
Oh no! From what Hawkeye has said, the girl's quite a steady hand with a sword. I doubt she'd be taken out by anything short of a bear, and there aren't any bears in the area. At least none that anyone's told me about.
Well, that's good then. The not being eaten by animals thing, because that would be bad.
Rhodey chuckles and says, "Yeah, yes. Well, the issue is that despite the bandits not being a large group, they have surprisingly picked a very good place to hole away. There is an old keep up in the woods that used to be a fortress for... I think someone mentioned that it was originally for a guard post. Apparently there used to be a lot more fighting in the area. And after everything quieted down with truces between the countries, the keep was abandoned, and that's apparently where the bandits have taken up residence. And it's in an area that I can get close to, but again, if there really is if the girl really is there, I don't think I would be able to get her out easily.
And I assume that's where we come in to help you?
Yes. Unfortunately, I can't offer much, although I will mention this. I'm not sure if you'd be interested, but while I can't offer much as payment, the best I can offer is a cut of the pay that Hawkeye has assured I would receive. But the town has apparently been having trouble with these bandits for a while, and they've said that they would put out a reward for anyone who tried to capture them. I don't know how successful anyone would pull that off, but, well, I suppose I should at least mention it.
So we need to capture them, not kill them?
Well, if you feel up to it, there's also just the option of kind of ignoring them and just focusing on finding the girl and getting her out safely.
Well, it wouldn't feel right to just leave them to terrorize people.
Well, even if we didn't capture them, if we did get into the base and get out, we could tell the flaws in the security of it to the town's guard, and they could probably do much better with the information.
Yeah, that's a good point. Are keeps big? Are they big?
They usually are.
It depends. Some of them are only about, 2, 3 floors high, not counting the roof, I believe. It depends really on how big of a fortress is needed. This keep is actually fairly small, if I'm being honest. As said, it was a guard outpost. It wasn't meant to have a lot other than just warning if an army was coming.
Alright, I'm in.
I definitely want to help. I probably can't. I probably can't like kill things, even though maybe I kind of wanna. But also, I'm not very strong.
Brody seems a bit taken aback by that statement, but looks relieved that he's going to get help. He says, "Oh, thank you. I don't plan on leaving today. It's rather late in the evening as it is. But tomorrow morning is when I plan to set out. I blend in rather well with greenery, so it's always best to arrive when the green can keep me hidden."
Alright. That makes sense.
So, it seems that we have the start of a plan of action then. I assume that I will meet you all in the morning tomorrow at the edge of the wood, and I will lead to the best of my ability.
Alright.
Sounds good.
See you there.
All right. And with that, you continue with your evening, eating and possibly conversing with each other, if you would like, on any kind of game plan, or even just trying to cover the bases of what each of you can do. Rhodey leaves after he has said his piece, as he plans to prepare to the best of his ability. So you can take a moment to either converse with each other to go in character, to go over what special skills that you can bring in, or you can just tell me to skip to the next day and we'll figure it out during the hike through the woods.
I think it's best to do like introductions before they fight together.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
Yeah.
So, Zero turns to Cordelia and offers his hand to her. Hi, I'm Zero.
She like very excitedly takes his hand in like both of her hands and starts like shaking it. Like, hi, I'm Cordelia. I am an acolyte of the god Ilmater, and I am trying to help people. Also, I can heal stuff.
In the realm of Toonery, Zero just stands there shaking because, like, his whole body shaking due to the force of the handshake. But after he manages to get his facilities back, he shakes his head before reaching up to pull off his hood. Hi, I'm Zero. I'm a rogue.
I'm sorry, Queenie. I think you cut out for a moment. I kind of missed what you said.
Yeah.
She goes like, "Oh, you're a sheepy!"
What?
Like sheep with the wool and the horns and yeah.
Zero crosses his arms. I'm not a sheep. I'm a ram.
Oh right, yeah. There's a difference.
I'm just now realizing I shouldn't have made Rhodey leave so early, but at the same time, he has like no money to buy food, so
That is fair.
he's got 2 silver pieces, and that's the entirety of his money bag.
I'm trying to find where my money is.
We don't actually have to talk about that, but I'm just saying that was the logic for why I had him leave. You can ignore it in this particular scenario.
Yeah, it's where the hell is my money?
Which sheet are you using?
D&D Beyond, and I just found it. I got 15 gold.
Yep.
All right, so that's enough to pay for at least one meal. Maybe 2. Okay, yeah. Zero just shook his head. Zero just shook his head.
She's looking. Okay, this is. I did not mean for this, but she's looking a bit sheepish because she's realizing maybe she came out a little too strong, but also she's very excited.
She's
Accidental
adorable.
puns.
She's adorable. She's so adorable.
She is. I love her.
All right. Do you want to kind of end things there and then continue conversations when you're in the woods, or?
Yeah, I'm okay with skipping towards that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. You each finish on a slightly awkward note and return to wherever it is you are staying at the night, considering some of your backgrounds that could be very different or only slightly different. But as the sun rises the next day, both of you pack up your supplies, and you meet at the edge of the wood where you see the green UPN Rhodey once more. He's standing at the edge. A backpack, surprisingly, since most Toons often don't carry backpacks, is tied around under his slung over his shoulders with the hood of his sweater. The hood of whatever green shirt it is he is wearing, thrown over the top of it, and looking rather awkward, but looking a much brighter shade of green than you had seen him the previous night.
Zero waves to him, trying to get his attention.
By chance, Rhodey happens to turn around and be facing back towards the town as you wave, and spots you, and somehow his rather leafy green becomes an even brighter shade of green, and he waves back. He looks relieved, almost as if he'd had partially expected you to not show up.
That's fair. Zero runs up to him.
Ah, wonderful. My anxiety was getting to me during the night, and I was worried that you wouldn't show up at all. As I said, usually people, when you have a very low amount of money to give, don't really come unless there's a payment. I'm glad to see I was proven wrong.
To be honest, I'm planning on trying to raid the keep if we ever go in.
Yeah, I could see that. Might even find something of use there. Lord knows the bandits have taken enough minor things. I'm rather surprised by how little they've taken. They've apparently been more of a nuisance than anything else.
I wonder what they're doing out there.
Oh, if I had to guess, there seemed to be a rather small group, so I'd imagine they were, just criminals that had wandered from somewhere else and weren't really focused on anything but finding a way to take care of themselves without having to worry about a paycheck.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Cordelia comes kind of stumbling out, wrestling with this green cloak that she's kind of trying to get over her halo. Because it kind of glows a little bit, and she figures that's bad if you're trying to be stealthy.
Rhodey notices and says, Miss Cordelia?
Hi, sorry. I figured it would be bad if I glowed and gave away the position. So she finally gets the hood up and it kind of covers her face. I got something.
He chuckles
Zero.
and says, well, I can certainly understand that. Not everyone has the luck of, being green in a forest. Although, He ruffles in his bag for a moment and then pulls out 2 bottles of red liquid, and you both quickly realize they are health potions, and he hands them to you. I was able to convince Hawkeye the other night to give us a bit of supplies. It seems he has a handful of these laying around from someone deciding to use them to pay for a fur instead of actual money. They should be useful. And then he hands you each 1 level 1 health potion. So add those to your cards. Just pop into the inventory tab or manage equipment and just click potions and you'll see it. It should be the first one on there. Healing potion.
Looking in there now, I'm not seeing anything.
And you've clicked the manage equipment one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I am.
Yep. Click on manage equipment, then type healing, then click on potion, and healing potion should be the very first one there.
None. Alright, yeah, sorry about that.
All right.
Pardon me a moment. The thing is beeping very loudly from other servers, and I need to silence them so they don't blow out my eardrums.
Fair.
There we go. Okay.
Zero looks up at Cordelia before tilting his head. Need some help with that hood?
No, I'm good. I can still see. I promise.
Alright,
She does stumble a little and then kind of lifts it up so her eyes are just barely visible. It's fine. And thank you for the health potion.
Rhodey chuckles and says, well, thank you for giving me the help. Although, if I may suggest, if you have a pin, you might be able to pin it to the side edges of your hood, or pin the side edges of your hood. That way it won't flop over your eyes as much and not fall back and reveal your halo. I don't usually wear my hood, but that's usually what I do when I have to wear a cloak that covers my color.
How tall is Cordelia?
She's about 3'6", maybe.
Oh, so
Oh, she's a little bean.
She's a small bean. She's a bit. Zero's actually a bit taller than her.
Well, Rhodey's taller than her definitely because he's actually on the tall end of the toon spectrum. He's about 5'4".
Oh.
Zero is 3'8".
Oh yeah, he's definitely taller than both of you. No wonder he's being extra worried.
She's got these small people.
Oh my god, he's the adult. He's the adult who's been put in charge of 2 children. No wonder he's worried.
Zero sighs before reaching down. I'm quite familiar with putting hoods over horns and halos. Here, just let me help.
Oh, okay, thank you.
He then tries his best to tuck the hood into the halo so it isn't hanging over her face, but it's still concealing it. Should I roll for this?
I'm gonna say. Well, what do you think you would roll? Just out of curiosity.
Let me look at the sheet. I'd say.
You know what? How about we just in the chat just roll the deadly dice chat. Just roll a straight d20, and the closer you get to 20, the more efficiently you do it. And if you get a 1, we can do something absurd.
I'm trying. I can't remember how to just roll.
An exclamation point, then an R, and then a space, then D20.
D20. Alright. Oh, a 4.
Okay, how funny do we want to do this? Let's see. I know. You go to reach over and help, but somehow, her hood gets caught on the hoof of your hand. And
Oh, I don't have a hand hoof. Zero doesn't have a hand hoof. He's got regular hoof. He's got regular.
it starts to get tangled either by the clasp of the cloak that she is wearing has possibly gotten tangled in her hair, and as you are trying to help adjust it, it starts to tug on it. It's a bit uncomfortable.
Ow.
Oh,
I'm okay, but ow.
Sorry. I'm not used to too long hair. Let me try again.
Alright, you can try again, but with advantage, which basically just means that if you roll really low again, you can roll a second time, and if you roll higher, we go with the higher roll.
Alright. That's nice. Lady Luck is not smiling on me today. You know what?
You know what? Let this time, yeah, it's still getting a little tangled. But at this point, Rhodey says, you know what? How about you try just taking it off for now? It's very sunny at the moment, so any glinting light that they see will probably just be assumed as the sunlight glinting off of various plants and such. I think we can save it for when we have to actually be sneaky later.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. She starts kind of untangling her hair from the cloak and taking it off.
Yes.
Zero seems a bit cheapish. Sorry.
Okay. We tried to help.
Rhodey chuckles a bit and says, oh yeah, I've had plenty of issues with things getting caught. You wouldn't realize it, but my sweater here is actually knitted, which means every time I do anything, it's more often than not going to get stuck or caught. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I suppose.
Have many holes.
He laughs a bit and says, yes, it does. All right. Well, let's get started then. For now, we'll head into the forest. Like I said, it's still pretty early in the morning, and with the sun rising, any kind of noise and such will be dismissed as animals waking up. And with that, he turns and starts making his way rather carefully into the woods. And I assume everyone follows?
Yep. Zero follows.
All right. As you continue on, things are, as Rhodey had suggested, surprisingly noisy for this early in the morning. You can hear birds chirping and small animals dashing through the undergrowth, which does a lovely job of concealing your own movements as you move through it. Eventually, Brody leads you into a small clearing and points up to a large stone building that is actually sitting up on a hill farther into the forest, and you get your first glimpse of the castle keep. And he says very quietly, "That is the keep." You can see in the distance the stone keep, which stands, if you had to guess, at maybe 4 floors high, not counting the roof, and you can also see a lot of greenery on it. In fact, it's almost so covered with greenery that it's almost difficult to pick out of the woods if you didn't know that that's what you were looking for. And would you two please roll perception so I can tell you other details about the lovely building standing up on a hill?
I'm unsure how to roll perception.
And of course, you asking me is the moment I forget how to do it. Let's see. I believe what you do is the usual exclamation point, then perception, I believe. I could be wrong.
Perception. Alright, that doesn't look like that's it.
Let's see.
Do help.
Let me tell you, that help thing is such a pain. Let's see. You know what, let me see if I can remember how the fricky fruck to do it.
I should probably update my character too, because we just added the thing. Oh, I was supposed to do in there. Oops.
Yeah, I do not remember how to do it. I know I did it.
Maybe we need to, like, search, like, perception.
Hmm.
Oh, that didn't work.
Oh, computer, why must you be difficult?
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's check. I think it's check perception. Yep.
Oh, wow.
I just ended up Googling it. But I got a nat 20. That's nice.
You got a nat 20. Okay,
9 out of 10.
Okay. Cordelia, you have seen everything that I have already described. In fact, you may actually be having trouble picking the building out of the forest. You may roughly be able to guess where it is based on where Rhodey pointed, but you can't really see it all that well, and it's just really hard to see. Zero, however.
Have really good camouflage.
Zero, however, with your nat 20, you see everything. You can pick out the exact way the foliage is growing along the sides, making it very easy for you to pick out the exact shape of the square building made of stone. You can see where the spots where there are windows peeking out because you can see where the ivy is clumping on the sills. You can see that part of the roof has caved in, and that it's probably rather unstable because of that, despite the distance.
Is there anyone around it, walking by the windows?
No, because of the sunlight and the way the shadows are contrasting because of it, it's actually incredibly difficult to see inside. But what you are able to confirm is that there is no one standing on the roof who could potentially snipe you from a distance.
Is there like anyone around on the ground? Around
Well,
it?
at the moment, you're still too far away. It was up in a hill at the distance, and even then it's still surrounded by forest. Like the forest is almost right up against the walls.
Alright, Zero turns to Cordelia before going, "What are you talking about? It's standing out right in almost right in the open."
I just see green. Just just a lot of green. I
Rhodey
don't see
chuckles.
a building.
Rhodey chuckles a bit and says, I take it you're not used to working in the forest, are you, dear?
I mean, there was a forest around the temple I lived in, but like I wasn't really allowed to go out. There were like animals and bandits.
He chuckles weakly and says, yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes speaking from my own experience, it's really hard to tell things when you aren't used to the mindset you need to find them. But, well, at least 2 out of 3 of us know roughly where it is, so I think we should be alright. For now, let's focus on getting closer. As far as I'm aware, there are no patrols, so we don't have to worry about that. But at the very least, we should be careful. And with that, he begins leading you once more. However, instead of walking into the clearing, he leads you around it instead. Although, he says suddenly, you should keep an eye out just in case, because while there aren't any too large animals and such, I have been told that there are boars, and, well, it'd be best to avoid actually stepping into any clearings, just in case.
Yeah. Alright.
I've heard that boars have like really sharp tusks, and they can like bore people. Like that's not the right word. The thing where the horn goes in like in the stomach.
I believe the word you're looking for is gore. And yes,
Yeah.
it's very not nice. Thankfully, since we are an Anquil after all, well, Toons tend to handle things a lot better, but that doesn't make it any more fun.
I imagine a horn going into your stomach wouldn't be fun.
Since we are working together and I'm realizing I left rather early the other night, I didn't think to ask what the 2 of you did. I'm a rather simple fighter. I prefer to use a sword and shield, but I didn't think to ask what you did the other night. What?
Well, I'm a cleric, and I also have a hammer. And it's just a hammer. I like my hammer.
Well, healer's always good. And you?
I'm gonna roll deception for this.
He does not trust the green bean.
He does not trust the green bean, and he realizes he made a mistake just going outwardly going, "Hey, I'm a rogue," to Cordelia. So,
You don't. After a moment, you can roll, and depending on how high or low, I can amend it. Because Rhodey is a nice boy.
Yes.
9. Rhodey sees that you look rather uncomfortable, and he says, "Actually, I'm realizing that may have been a bit private. Can I at least have an idea of a skill set? Even if you don't have to be specific, but as said, I'm a fighter. I prefer a sword and shield. But, well, I suppose what I'm asking you is, should I be keeping you to the front, or should I be keeping you behind me if we get in a fight?"
Behind. While I can use a short sword, I prefer to use my bow.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. Well, we should keep moving. And as he says this, he continues leading. Surprisingly, nothing really jumps out at you as you continue through the woods. You hear many animals, and you occasionally see birds flying through the trees, but other than that, you are surprisingly unaccosted as you move through the wood. And soon you reach the keep. But it is not quite as smooth sailing as you had hoped, because as you... Now, I'm going to ask... I'm going to say that... I'm going to continue. I'm realizing I'm tripping over my tongue again. Hold on. You see, you have arrived at the front of the keep, and standing outside the large wooden double doors are 2 guards. 2 bandits, to be specific. Now, what do you want to do? You could roll insight and see if perhaps there is a way to get around them, or as this is still a valid option, you could attempt to fight them.
Can I roll perception to see if there's like any open weaknesses on them?
You can... You don't have to focus on them. You can also check the building and just roll a perception just to see if maybe you notice something about the building itself now that you're closer.
Yeah, I just want to know if they have like any open weaknesses, if they're wearing like helmets.
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. Check perception. A 14.
Okay. You can see them fairly clearly, despite the dark clothing that they're wearing, but they're wearing leather armor, and they aren't wearing helmets. But they are just dressed darkly, and frankly, they look rather bleary-eyed at best, but very alert. Would anyone else like to roll? Or would you like to roll, Queen? Would you like to see if, again, maybe there's a possibility of an alternative to fighting if you don't want to fight them?
I feel like Cordelia's first instinct would be, oh, I can just go hit them. But then she's like, that might not actually be a good idea. For once in her life, she thinks and is like, maybe taking on these 2 people who are very much bigger than me is not a good idea. So,
Alright, let's roll perception.
yeah.
4. All you see are the guards. Actually, I'm going to amend zeros a little bit because I'm realizing that at 14, I can let you see more, at least more than that. In addition to when you had spotted the bandits, you also remembered that some of these walls are crumbling, and you notice now that you are closer, there are a lot of holes and things. Again, I'm giving you the option if you don't want to fight them directly.
Alright. I'm gonna have Zero crouch down and whisper to his this adventuring camp thing. Whisper to his companions. So, what's the plan?
Rhodey hesitates for a moment and says, "Ideally, I would love to avoid having to fight them directly. We don't want to alert anyone else, but if no other option can be seen, well, we'd best do it quickly and not give them a chance to raise an alarm."
Can how fast?
Cordelia's maybe panicking a little bit and kind of frantically trying to get the cloak on, like, oh shit, they're gonna see us, gotta hide.
I want Zero to notice that and try to help her.
Yeah, he's definitely noticed it because she's like right next to him, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, he sees it and he can help her, and you don't have to roll this time. You can just help her get the hood on, and we can be sneaky.
Yeah. So Zero turns to Cordelia and hisses out a quick, "Be still," before reaching up and tucking her halo away from view.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. So Rhodey speaks up once more and says, "Now, I have already said that I don't feel confident about trying to fight them directly, but it may be possible to. Again, we're only at the front of the keep. We may be able to sneak around and find another spot we can get in, if you want to avoid having to get into a fight."
I really want to know how fast I can. Does anyone else have a bow as well?
Rhodey pauses
Nope.
and says, "Yes, actually, I have a longbow. I don't use it very often, but I have it."
How good is your aim?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm extravagant, but I'd certainly do.
They're not wearing helmets. If we can shoot them through their heads, we can kill them without alerting anyone.
Wow, the cartoon going immediately for the violent route. Okay.
He's a ram. He with only one horn, he can't like headbutt everyone. So
Yes, I understand that. It's kind of funny just because I don't usually hear that as a response. Alright, so you want to basically archer them through the head.
yes.
Okay. Now, let's give it a try. What you should do. We'll be acting outside of initiative, for one. Because
Alright.
this is a sneak attack. Initiative has not started. So, you need to attack with your distance weapon of choice. And see how much damage you do.
Alright, how do I do that?
Okay. I will try to go first. Because I think I know how to do this, but I could be wrong.
Oh wow, that's good.
Oh, wow. I did not anticipate it would be that good. So, yeah, he hits his dude in the head. Or at the very... Yeah, he hits his dude in the head, and, well, frankly, I know it says 6, but, I'm gonna say he gets a lethal hit because that's a 23. I'm sorry. That's a 23.
Yeah.
However, the one that Zero hits... Let's see. Unfortunately, the bandit that Zero hits lives. The bandits have an armor class of 12, and they have 11 hit points.
Damn it.
Okay. So,
He's just got an arrow sticking out of his head.
I'm gonna say you don't quite get it through his head. You're off center just a bit, and instead you slam him in the shoulder. He shifted at just the moment, but compared to his buddy, who is most assuredly dead. I'm giving it that. But now we enter initiative, so let's start with that.
Alright.
See if I can remember how to do this. Did that work?
I don't think that worked.
Did I spell something wrong? What did I do?
No, I think you did it right. I think you spelled it right.
There we go.
Ah.
Had too many letters.
Damn those letters.
Yep, and give me just a moment to put in our surviving bandit. And I spelled it.
Oh, do we need to roll again because Rodney and Zero have like matched?
Coin flip.
Coin flip. Do we have a coin flip?
I'm gonna say heads or tails, or one or two.
One.
Zero makes first move.
Yay!
Okay, before we hit the bandit, let me first see if I can remember how to do that. I need to take a chunk of health away from this bandit in order to account for the fact that he has an arrow in his shoulder.
I did 7 damage and he has 11, so that's 4 hit points left.
I have instructions on how to actually randomly take away health somewhere. I did it. I know I did it.
It's in there somewhere, I swear.
Ah, there we go. And you said, how much was he losing again? He lost 7. Okay. We have a very bloodied bandit.
Alright, let's see if I can get him down before we alert anyone else.
Okay.
Where's my weapons? Yeah, I'm just gonna go with my short sword, so I guess I do... Where is it? I tested this yesterday.
It's always exclamation point then I for anything that's going to be done during initiative.
Okay, so I...
And always put an A before you attack with a weapon, as well as putting a T to target.
Yeah. A...
Learned that the hard way when I attacked myself during testing.
That was still pretty funny.
So I, a short bow, dash T, B, A1 hit.
That should be it. Let's see.
Ah!
Alright. It's me.
Got to actually start it.
Yes. Whoopsie daisies.
Oh, I killed him.
Well,
Oh, that's good.
yes, we have a very dead band. We have 2 very dead bandits. Okay.
Alright. I guess that ends initiative.
Yes. And this is technically not how we're supposed to do it, but I'm going to do it differently just because it's very difficult otherwise. Apparently, the experience you're supposed to get from one bandit is only about 25. But it's supposed to be 25 divided amongst the group. And
Yeah.
25 does not divide by 3.
So are we all gonna get like 25?
Well, considering we killed 2 of them, and 25 and 25 is 50, I'm going to say that we each get about 13.
Alright, so how do I give that?
Okay. I'm going to explain this because I've already done it once when I went after some deer just while I was testing things. On D&D Beyond, you click your icon where your character is, and the
Yeah.
third option down on the list is XP, which also has Manage Experience on it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let me update my character to show that, A, I just got into the fight, reload it, and then I'll give myself 13 XP.
Alright.
Team, apply changes, update. Okay, there we go. Alright, now that they're dead, I'm gonna attempt to burst through the brushing to drag the bodies into the woods.
Yep. We now have 2, count them, 2 dead bandits.
Cordelia is freaking out a little, like, oh god, what do we do with the bandits?
Rhodey looks slightly... Well, he doesn't look happy, but he kind of looks resigned. It's like, I wasn't quite what I wanted to do, but, well, here we are. And he does not actually say this, but that's kind of the expression on his face. As he helps you very carefully start dragging these 2 bodies into the undergrowth so that they will not be seen.
Zero's hands shake, but he... Wait, should I roll for hiding his, slight shakiness?
I'm gonna say... I'm gonna say either roll sleight of hand or stealth. Sleight of hand, most people assume that's magic tricks, but I'm assuming it's also, like, hiding something. I would actually more advise stealth for that.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do stealth. Check. Stealth. Oh, I fucked up the spelling. A 9!
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just as a reminder, the rolls go in the deadly dice.
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Easy goof, easy goof.
Yeah.
God damn it, Rhodey. Again,
Wow!
over 20. How? How?
Lady Luck has blessed your dice.
Well, I mean, he's got a +4 because of being an UPA, and my stars. Why are you so good at this, Rhodey?
Can I roll
Has to
again?
be. He's with us.
Yes, it's turned out that he really is a boon. Anyways, the bodies are hidden. Rhodey notices that you're shaky and fumbling a bit, and very quietly heads over and says, Here, let me help you. I take it you've never actually done something like this?
Zero flashes him a dirty look. I have. Stop it.
I wasn't being rude. I just meant that not everyone can stomach a fight, especially one that... He glances over at the rather large blood stain and says, well, one that goes like this.
Zero tilted his head forward, threatening slightly, like, I'm gonna ram you, because I'm a ram, and huffs. I'm used to fight. I'm not used to drawing blood. Just leave me alone.
He pauses and says, all right, I was just... I see that... Well, that didn't quite work the way I thought it would. I was just... Never mind. With that, he just helps you move it out of sight and continues and says, well, we've taken care of the guards.
Before we leave, can I look over the body and take any gold they might have?
Sure, I didn't actually consider that. Alright, so I'm going to say that's an investigation roll.
Alright. Check. Oh, that is the wrong thing. Check investigation. Hey!
Well, you notice the two bodies don't actually have a lot on them. In fact, the most valuable thing on them seems to be their scimitars and their crossbows. Although they do seem to each have a small pouch of what was supposed to be a money pouch, except it seems to be empty at the moment. If you had to guess, they had probably put all of their money inside, since they didn't really need to carry it with them to buy anything from the town.
Zero sighs, his under his hood, his ears flicking downwards. All right. He turns away, dropping the bags onto the ground.
You can, however, raid their arrows.
Oh, then I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I need.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they each have one bundle of arrows, which counts to about 20 each.
Alright, so I'm gonna take all 40. So, arrow.
Your ram is now sufficiently armed.
Yay! So, 40 arrows.
Moody still looks mildly uncomfortable and has most likely noticed you raiding the bodies, but he does not say anything. He just looks rather uncomfortable.
Cordelia's probably still freaking out a little because people are dead now.
Yeah, I'm going to roll... You know what, I'm gonna say he just notices that she seems rather frantic and goes over to try and help her calm down, saying, take a deep breath. I know it's not quite what... Well, it didn't go quite so peacefully, but at least now we don't have to worry about them hurting anyone in the future.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I knew conceptually that was like a thing that might happen, but I don't think I was prepared for it to actually happen. And now people are dead. And are we going through like the front, or are we still going around? Or
No. He pauses. He's not entirely sure now. His plan had originally been to see if he could find a way to sneak in and hopefully have as little violence as possible, but that's clearly gone right out the window. However, there's always the chance that if you do go through the front door, well, there's a chance that would alert the other bandits.
Zero turns his head towards the door. I'd say we sneak in. if we run into any issues, we should now have a straight path towards the exit. If the place isn't a maze, we have a clear exit now. But sneaking in is probably the best idea.
All right. Everyone, roll investigation.
6.
The dice just doesn't like you today.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Yeah, it seems. All right. The in-universe explanation is that Cordelia, you are so freaked out by what happened. It's really hard to focus. You expected to have to fight, but knowing you're going to fight and actually doing it are two very different things, and you just weren't ready for it, and you're kind of stuck in your head about it. And Rhodey is a bit too. He knew that he was capable of fighting, he knew that he would probably end up having to fight, but for as calm as he is, he actually doesn't really have much of a stomach for violence. He's actually trying pretty hard to not be sick. I didn't mention this, but he's turned a very, very, very dark green. Like, it's edging into black in some places. He's very unsettled. Because he hadn't intended on this. The bandits hadn't been violent previously. They'd scared people away, but there had been no blood prior. Zero, on the other hand, despite being shaky, you had fully expected it to turn out this way. You had been expecting the worst coming in. You fully expected everything to go horrifically wrong, and you would end up having to leave killing someone, and as such are completely unfazed, and are able to very thoroughly investigate it. And when you do, you find that there was a giant hole in the back of the building, large enough that even Rhodey, if he had gotten down on his hands and knees, would have been able to get through without alerting anyone.
hey guys, I found an entrance.
Would have been nice to know about that before we killed the people.
Like I said, we now have a straight exit.
Rhodey breathes out and says, yes, you have mentioned. I wish I had noticed this sooner too. But well, here's hoping that they weren't going to change shifts anytime soon. And with that, I want all three of you to roll dexterity. Or all two of us. 2 of you and me to roll dexterity to hopefully get through this hole without suddenly being surprised that we get stuck.
22.
7! My horns are not blessing today. Well, horn.
Okay. Cordelia, you get through just fine. You get down on your hands and knees just to make extra sure that you have space, and you crawl through, and honestly, you're doing it partially because you need to go and continue on your rescue mission, and partially to leave behind the thought that there are a pair of dead people outside, and you are still very uncomfortable with that, and because of that, you are quite enthused by the idea of getting indoors and away from those thoughts for a while. Zero, you thought you could get through fairly easily. You thought that you could get through just fine. Unfortunately, you didn't duck down quite as much as you should have and ended up bonking your horn on it and making a bit of noise. And you do get through, but you kind of were off balance from hitting your head and have gotten a bit dirty. Rhodey, he makes it through. It's a bit of a squeeze. He has to lay down on his stomach because apparently it got a bit tighter as he got further in, but he was able to get through. And now all 3 of you are inside of this rather dilapidated stone keep. And you notice that the inside has some wood. It's very rotted wood, and you can see that the ceiling, which is the floor of the level above you, is also fairly rotted. You don't think that it will break from people walking on it, but it will probably make a lot of noise as you go through.
I want to try to shake off any possible dirt from my fur and horns.
Alright, you can do that. You don't need a roll. I think for that you just do like the dog shake. Shake from the head and just goes all the way down. You just shake it off.
The doggy shake.
Yeah. And Rhodey keeps his voice very quiet and he says, all right. From what I was able to get from asking the townsfolk before this, the keep isn't supposed to be very big. A lot of the thickness was in the walls. But, well, we should be careful as we tread further. There are probably more bandits. And again, if the girl is here, I'd rather not make too much noise and draw attention. But we should be careful. The floors look weak. We don't want to fall through as we get further up.
That makes sense, but before we go anywhere, Zero crouches down and pulls some rope from his backpack. Bag. He then just wraps it around his cloven hooves to avoid making sounds on the stone floor.
That makes sense. I'm going to say we go for it. Now, the next roll for everyone is going to be stealth, because as I've already said, what we should do is a perception roll for everybody. Make sure that everyone has noticed everything.
Ah, dang it, my luck has changed.
Yeah.
I now need glasses.
When you were out in the forest, you were in your element, but now that you have gone where the people are, suddenly everything is very confusing. Or rather, where the people were. Cordelia, you're doing alright. You noticed a lot of the stuff that I've already mentioned, but you've also noticed it kind of smells musty. It's probably from the fact that the stuff is rotting. It's not a great smell. It's not fun. And this is probably also the same reason why Zero scored low, because now this musty smell is starting to bother your nose. You have a much more sensitive nose, and you're probably fighting off the urge to sneeze.
Oh, great. That's gonna help a lot.
Alright. Now, you're in a small room. It's not a big room. And you can see that there is a door. This room was probably at one point a small storage spot. But everything has since been cleared out. And, well, everything's rotted a lot. So, I assume that everyone is going to move for the door?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Okay.
You probably have to be careful in opening the door because it's probably all creaky.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There is no door.
There is no door.
It rotted and fell off a long time ago. That's why I said doorway, not door. I probably should have mentioned that.
So, roll for stealth?
Yes. I will also roll for stealth because it's unfair to make you guys roll for this stuff without including the character I'm playing.
Ah, dang it, 12.
14!
The
We're
dice
doing
bless
okay.
you!
Oh!
Brody!
Rhodey's having a bad day, guys. Let me check my notes. Okay, I'm very sorry to say this, but while Cordelia is able to keep her feet light, unfortunately, Rhodey and Zero do not have the same luck. Zero, You get going for a good while. Everyone is able to make it up one staircase. You're on the second floor. And then Rhodey's leg goes through the plank of wood that he was standing on, and it collapses under him with a rather loud crash. And unfortunately, it kicks up just enough dust to make Zero sneeze. And
I was gonna mention that if like you said like anything about sound of feet, I was gonna shout, "Oh no, this rope trick didn't work."
well, unfortunately, Rhodey is now technically prone. He isn't prone in the conventional sense, but he is stuck. And unfortunately, 3 bandits respond and step out of the room rather loudly saying, "What on earth was that?" Or at least one of them does. And the other 2 follow, and they see you.
Okay, I'm gonna roll. Okay, what would I roll to like convince them we're new bandits? Like,
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work, but it would be a persuasion, and well, let's hear what kind of speech Zero tries to come up with. And I will also say, Queen, if you want, you can have Cordelia roll to try and be supportive if this goes south.
so, persuasion?
Persuasion.
Alright, I'm gonna roll it. And depending on how it ends up, I'm gonna see, like, that's how I'm gonna react. A 10. Alright, so this could go either way. Zero kind of, like, jumps, before saying to the bandits, like, "Oh, sorry, we're new here. We didn't realize the floor up here was so weak. Sorry."
One of the bandits, who I forgot to mention this earlier, but the bandits are all toon kind. I didn't actually think through what kind of toons, they just are toons. And I'm going to say that the one who was the first to utter, as well as the first out the door, was a rather snaggly looking Frankenolly fox. And he says, "Well, I didn't know the boss was recruiting. Last I checked, we was still dealing with the little ankle biter. Last I checked, he wasn't recruiting." And he squints at you suspiciously. He's very much unsure. He doesn't really believe you, but he doesn't want to immediately jump on it in case he's wrong.
Zero shrugged. "Well, I just know that the boss put some letters out there, and well, here we are."
All
We're
right.
Cordelia's been kind of frozen for most of it, but upon hearing Zero's excuse, she's just like, "Oh, yeah, we got hired because he thought you might need help with the girl because she's real tough to deal with, and apparently there's people looking for her."
Zero immediately glanced.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Finish what you were going to say.
Zero immediately glanced down at Cordelia, warning look on his face before he looks back over at the 2 bandits.
All right. Cordelia, please roll persuasion.
Not 20, but 20.
It's a dirty 20. All right. Immediately, the fox relaxes. He totally believes her. He says, "Yeah, that little ankle biter's been crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, I don't know why the boss is humoring her, but yeah, if she's got people looking for her, I can see why he'd want help to keep us out of trouble. why don't you head on up then and tell your tall friend to watch his head. This stuff was made for tall tunes, but he's a heavy guy, just from the fact that he's so tall. But then again, UP hands, I'd expect them to be lighter than thin, ain't they? Oh well. And with that, he turns and says, never mind about it, guys. Bunch of new recruits. One of them's a tall one and fell through the floor. And you hear two other voices go, oh, jeez. We should really try and find a way to, I don't know, fix that damn floor. It's only a matter of time till someone falls through completely. It's such a pain. And with that, he goes back inside, and this is the first room that you've seen with the door because he closes it behind him. And with that, you are alone, and you have escaped my second combat situation.
At this point, can I pull out a disguise kit?
You could, but I'm not sure what that's gonna do for you. I know at the very least Rhodey is trying to get his leg out, because falling through the floor is not fun. He doesn't want to stay there and find out what's gonna happen in case the rest of them, break, so he's doing that.
I'm currently Googling what it does.
Disguise kit. It basically...
Alright, no. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you. I just Googled it, and it's for, making up, hey, I'm someone else completely.
Yeah, so. It's for, deception roles and such.
Yeah, I figured maybe I could, disguise us as bandits, but no, that's not how it works, sadly.
Yeah, and even then, it's paper-thin disguise because we're toons, which means you're just, throwing on a silly mustache.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm going to roll dexterity for Rhodey getting his leg unstuck, because that wasn't fun. That's not fun. And then, we're gonna see where we go from there. Oh yay, he gets himself out without any trouble.
Yay.
And now we continue on. And
do we roll stealth again?
Yeah, I would advise rolling it a second time. I mean, now the guys know that you're there, but you still kind of want to get through. You fooled this group. You don't know how many more there are. You'd rather not find out.
Yeah. At least we're not doing god awful at the stealth. Never mind that.
8 and 5.
Okay. Rhodey trips, bonks his head against something, mutters and growls under his breath, and is like, this is not my day. This is not my day. I'm not having a good day. And he says it in a very low mutter, and he's kind of tripping because apparently falling through the floor has royally... He's now under rule of funny of you be clumsy once and you are cursed with it for the rest of the day.
Cordelia is probably still a bit shaken from the bandit encounter and runs face first into something.
Yeah, she probably runs face first into either an old barrel or hopefully not a wall. But no one's having a good time. But you managed to rather clumsily make your way up, and finally you get to the third floor, which seems to have, well, it seems to be where they've dumped all their loot, because there are no walls. There are no inner walls. Everything's been cleared out. There's a bunch of stuff, textile things, there's some coins, there's a rather large bunch of coin pouches, a couple very rusty and ugly looking weapons. And basically, this is clearly the spot where they've just been dumping the loot that wasn't food.
Alright, immediately I want Zero to make his way over to the gold and the coin.
Alright. I didn't actually plan how much was there. Do you want to roll just to see what you grab?
Yeah, so sleight of hand?
Yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Check sleight of hand. Oh, okay, so that's all put together. 18!
Alright, in that case... You manage to grab one sack of what looks... one decently heavy sack. Most of them look fairly light, most likely from merchants who were moving between towns and didn't have a lot of pocket money on them. They'd already exchanged it for goods to sell at the next location. But you managed to find one decently heavy one that seems to have about, 20 gold pieces in it.
Yeah. Okay, let me put that down. I immediately tuck it away in my bag before turning to them, not really willing to waste any more time to grab more of it.
Rudy again sees this. He doesn't really say anything. He gets the feeling that originally he gets the feeling that whatever he says is going to either A, offend you, or B, get them into an argument that may cause more trouble than it's good. How's Cordelia doing?
She's looking for a cage because she's like, oh, this seems to be where the loot is. Maybe the kid's here, so she's like looking for a cage.
In that case, roll perception. Actually, I should have made you both roll perception, but
5.
you do not see a cage. You see everything I've listed, except it only registers of, this is where all the stuff is. This is clearly where they just dumped all the stuff. Also, that one sword looks really ugly, and I think I would cut my hand if I tried to pick it up. That's what's running through her head.
Okay, so the kid's not here. This is just money.
So it seems, although there seems to be no sign of... Well, I suppose it's a good thing that this kind of implies that they're at least... Well, they're treating her all right, at least. Well, we should keep moving then. And you continue on. I'm going to say that Zero's still doing all right. Zero's still doing all right in terms of stealth, but I think Rhodey and Cordelia need to roll a second time for some better stealth.
Hopefully. 6.
Well, she is doing better. Oh, and Rhodey's doing
better.
significantly better. In fact, he's doing so much better. I'm going to say he helps you by very carefully picking you up because he is significantly taller and saying, I can't. It may be best to just let me help. And he very carefully picks you up with one hand and continues on because you are small enough that he can pick you up without too much trouble. And, it makes sure that you aren't stepping on anything and won't have risk of falling clean through if there's a sudden hole beneath you.
Zero's been thinking. He remembers what he remembers what the old Raggedy Fox said, and with there being no cages to be seen, and how they're not alert, like they just they just kidnapped someone. He just stops before looking up at Rodney and Cordelia.
Rhodey.
Guys, Rhodey, sorry, I don't know why I just said Rodney.
They sound, they're very phonetically similar.
Yeah. Zero frowns looking up at them. Guys, I don't think she was kidnapped. I think she joined them willingly.
Rhodey pauses at that and says, Well, I would, well, that's unexpected, but you may have a point. And then he pauses and he seems to be thinking rather hard, and then he continues and says, well, I don't really know. I do know that Well, Hawkeye did say that he'd mentioned that his girl was a bit of a spitfire and wouldn't always come home when she was supposed to. That was one of the reasons why he hadn't been immediately worried when the girl didn't come home.
Maybe we should still try to find her just to ask. She seems pretty okay with being carried. It's kind of clear this is not the first time this has happened.
Oh, I love her.
Rhodey stops and kind of rocks back on his heels for a moment and says, "Yes, that's probably a good idea. At the very least, we should check and make sure. I'd rather not make assumptions and then find out I'm wrong."
Zero is pretty sure that that's what's gonna happen here. That she's joined the bandits, and that she's gonna react badly to us coming up to her and asking her to go back home. But he sighs. Well, all right, but don't blame me if everything goes wrong, because I was right.
Rhodey gives
We don't have to ask her to come back. We can just be like, "Hey, were you kidnapped? If no, we can leave." Or maybe not. What do we tell the dad if she joined on her own?
Rhodey pauses, then he sighs and says, "Honestly, I have no idea. But at the very least, I want to check. I'd rather not think that she did it on her own and then find out that she's been misled or something. As for her father, stars only knows how he'd react. I just hope I don't end up with an arrow in my ass for it." Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Pretend it was replaced by Grolix.
Well, it's better than getting hit in the knee.
Oh, don't be sure.
That's how adventurers lose their careers.
Yeah, they become guards.
Oh, I don't know. I'd say an arrow in the backside would be more of a long-term problem for me. And with that, he just kind of continues on, just very uncomfortable, and frankly, it's a bit of an odd statement, but you get the impression that he isn't quite so attached to being an adventurer as just not being comfortable with the idea of being in pain.
Did what we just do count as somewhat of a fourth wall break?
Quite possibly. But you know what? They're cartoons, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, you continue on to the top floor. Once you reach the top of the stairs, please roll perception. Try and do this right.
Check perception. Oh, 1.
Okay, Cordelia, you're comfortable where you are, but now you've been given food for thought, and you are thinking about it rather hard, and it's very confusing for you. You're not sure why someone would willingly leave a decently lucrative home with a probably loving father to go to a bunch of bandits. It doesn't make sense to you, even if this person is supposed to be a spitfire. Zero, you have lost all interest in this. You've basically concluded that this is now a pointless job. The girl's not going to come home. The girl isn't going to leave. She clearly went here on her own. This is now a waste of time.
Yay. So I'm not even paying attention at all.
Yeah, the most attention you're paying is whether or not the floor under you is creaking enough that it means that you might fall through it. But other than that, you're not paying any attention.
Alright.
This is fine.
And very carefully, you do continue, and you reach the top floor. Rhodey, however, is the only one who's noticed, and he's the one who is now taking the lead and is leading you to what looks like a small room, and is very carefully peeking inside. And His shoulders seem to relax a bit, and very carefully he leads you both in. And you do see a girl, but she is not a child. She's clearly... And I'm going to ask you both to roll again, because I'm realizing I should tell you that before I start making descriptions.
He's not a ram. He doesn't know. He doesn't know other people's races. Like
Okay.
how they age.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say it like this. The girl is a worn tune. She is not a child. In fact, she looks to be a teenager, possibly 16 or 17, and she's wearing leather armor. She's got a weapon on, and she turns to you and rather aggressively and rather surprisingly lackadaisically says, "Who are you?"
Zero, just kind of acts nonchalant. The new recruits.
Funny. Mr. Ace said that he... Or, not Mr. Ace. I need to come up with a better name. Funny. Boss didn't say he was recruiting anyone. He said he wanted to lay low for a while. Anyways, you don't look like adventurers. And she says this rather strangely, almost as if she isn't quite sure what to think of you or what the situation seems to be.
Well, that's because we're not adventurers.
Oh, she says suddenly, and then suddenly her eyes narrow, and suddenly her rather calm disposition suddenly shifts to an incredibly aggressive one. She says, "Oh, I see. Then you're bandits, then." And she immediately draws her sword at you.
You don't want to fight, please.
Wait, Zero takes a step forward, like making a wait motion, going like, you think these people are adventurers?
And she leans back and says, "Of course, the boss. He tells me all kinds of amazing stories. He has to be an adventurer. He's been all over the country. He's fought dragons. I came here as soon as I realized that there were people who had never been here before because they must have been adventurers, the way they're armed and the way they fought. I came here and demanded that they teach me. And here I am."
Kid, he reaches up.
Brody has also paused in his statement and paused at this, and he looks so ragged, like, oh no, oh, this is going to be such a pain, and he looks ready to tear his hair out.
Cordelia is very confused.
Zero reaches up to rub the bridge, the bridge of his snout. Kid, they aren't adventurers. We were hired by your dad to come save you because they're bandits.
Okay, here is where it's going to get a bit difficult, because now I need you to roll persuasion, because she very obviously believes, very firmly, that she's with a group of heroes, and she is now the apprentice of the boss, the leader of the group. And she thinks you are bandits.
16.
16.
23.
Oh, you go, girl. Okay. She was somewhat hesitant. She paused at Zero's comments and says, "Daddy hired you, but he's such an old fuddy-duddy. He never lets me do anything. He taught me to have a hunt, but that's about it. I want to be an adventurer." And Cordelia, what do you say to convince this girl that her dad is worried about her and she's with a group of bandits and they're not heroes and she really, really needs to go home?
I'm gonna admit, I don't know a lot about adventurers, but I don't think adventurers usually have like whole levels in their hideouts devoted to treasure, and I don't think adventurers are usually like, I heard from the townspeople that these people were, like, bothering them a lot, and that they were bandits. And, like, your dad didn't have a lot of money to hire people, so, like, we're the only people who showed up, but adventurers don't take stuff from people. I don't think.
Rhodey is very quiet and also trying very hard not to look over at Zero because he knows that if he does, he will completely ruin Cordelia's argument. But, Cordelia, you have managed to convince the girl that she doesn't quite have the grasp of the situation that she thought she did. And she's hesitating now, especially once you mentioned the townspeople. Because the townspeople, she seems to believe more about causing problems than apparently she believes the beliefs of her father, which could be a can of worms, but technically isn't really your problem. And it's at this point Rhodey speaks up and says, "Yes, it's actually reached. She's quite right, actually. The townspeople have reached the point where they've been organizing a reward for anyone who arrested the bandits and brought them in." And with that, the girl stops and says, "Oh dear. Well, they're not that bad a bunch of people. They're bandits, yeah, but they've been pretty nice to me. They're actually the ones who gave me this nice armor and gave me my sword." And she's now very shy and uncomfortable, but you have convinced her that she has the situation wrong. Now, what are you going to say to convince her that she should really go home?
Kid, Zero steps forward. Your dad's really worried. You should go home, and once you're older, when you go home, you could save up some money, buy a real sword, buy a real set of armor, ones that wasn't stolen from anyone else. Then you can go out and be an adventurer, find a group, join them. Just not this group because they're not adventurers.
And roll.
Roll. Check. Equation. 17.
All right. You have managed to convince her. And she says, "Oh, I guess you're right. I should. Um, all right. You're right. Apparently. I still don't know if I should go back to Dad, but I should at least go back to the town and let everyone know that I'm okay and I guess figure this out more." And she says it kind of hesitantly, like, "I really didn't think about this. I was too busy running and jumping, but you're probably right. I don't think I thought about this." And then she continues, says, "The boss is a deep sleeper. He's still asleep in his room. He's actually a pretty nice guy. But, yeah. We should be careful about leaving. I think if I remember right, there's a hole in the back wall I originally used to, sneak in. We should probably use that to get out. That way the front guards don't see. They're nice, but they're actually pretty dumb. I mean, they're good dumb. They're good dumb, but, yeah, we should do that." And with that, you have convinced her. And now you are all able to leave and go back to town. I'm going to say roll.
Pointedly not mentioning that we killed those two guys in the front.
Also, but before we go, I want to give a possibility. Kidnapping the leader. Dead silence.
Hmm. Rhodey is very... Are you saying this in character?
No, I'm saying this out of character. I just want to know your input. You guys think it would be a good idea?
Honestly, I'm gonna say no, because, the bandit captain, looking at the book, 3 level 1 characters ain't gonna cut it, my dude.
Yeah, but she just said he's a deep sleeper. We can get in there, we can gag him, and we can tie him up before he wakes up.
I think this is gonna be one moment where I'm gonna say no, just because, well, frankly, while I had an alternative, uh, he's a pretty tough dude, and while you might be able to do it, I'm not entirely sure how the characters would justify it. If you can get your character to talk everyone else into doing it via persuasion, I will think of a way to do it.
Okay, yeah, I have a reason for doing this. So, right before everyone leaves, Zero steps up saying, "Wait, I have an idea. If we can cut the head off the snake here in this group, the town doesn't have to deal with any bandits anymore. They will probably disperse, and we would get an award. And we can do this without any killing as well."
The girl pauses. The girl stops and looks at you funny when she hears the without killing part, but Rhodey has turned to you and he's hesitant, but you can tell he's listening. Cordelia?
Cordelia relaxes once Zero says no killing, because she was getting kind of worried there.
Zero turned up to the kid because I can't remember their name.
I didn't give them a name.
So he turns to the team and says, "How deep of a sleeper is the boss?"
The girl pauses and she kind of sways a little bit, a hand under her chin, and she says, "Really deep. Like, you could probably set off a bomb by his head and he wouldn't notice."
Zero immediately smiled a sharp, faint smile. "Well, if he is as the kid says, we can sneak in there, tie him up, drag him out, and we bring him to the town. We give him to the guard, cutting off the head of the snake, leaving the rest of the bandits to run around like headless chickens."
Rhodey hesitates and says, "While that would work, I think the hard part would be distracting, the 3 lackeys that we barely got past before. I would think they would notice if they saw the new recruits," and he makes air quotes at this, "dragging their boss out hog-tied through the front door."
Who says we wouldn't be putting him in a bag? There's plenty of bags downstairs.
Rhodey is pausing again and says, "Well, that depends on how big he is, I suppose."
Say, I feel like we might need a pretty good big bag, and like, if you're just like dragging a really big bag, it kind of looks like you're dragging a body, which we will be.
Rhodey is pausing for a bit longer and says very quietly, "Perhaps..." He looks to the girl and then says, "Perhaps could you distract the others for a moment? You said that they are fairly nice. Could you perhaps convince them to go outside or go into the forest for a bit? Because..." And he pauses and he seems to be gathering himself up for something. "Well, when we came in, the front 2 guards weren't there."
Zero smiled. "Yeah, something may have happened to them. You should you can tell them. you can tell the new guards that you can I am sorry, I'm stuttering so much. You can tell the group downstairs that you heard something outside. You can lead them out there.
Or, a bit more accurately, you can tell them that the people they thought were new recruits said that they came in because they didn't see anyone outside when they came in. And that was one of the reasons why they didn't get any kind of alert that we were here. And he's saying this very carefully, like he's trying to imply this, but also telling a bit of truth. And the girl nods and says, I could do that, but I wonder where they went. That's fairly odd, although knowing those two, they probably got hungry and decided to go and hunt something without letting anyone know. And with that, she steps out and says, wait here his room is just across the way. You go over and you try and get him while I get the others out. I'll wait for you at the doorway. And with that, she steps out.
Alright.
And Rhodey very carefully puts his hands together and says, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Throughout the guards were not there explanation, Cordelia's just kind of standing there with this forced smile like, yeah, we don't know what happened to them.
Rhodey's like, I didn't lie. I did not lie. That is the only comfort that I have.
Lie by omission. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I really don't want to tell that girl that we killed her friend.
That makes two of us. Alright, your plan. You said you have rope. He's supposed to be a deep sleeper. She said his room is across the way. Let's just get this over with, and hopefully nothing will go horrifically wrong. And as he says that, he digs into his pocket, and surprisingly, his sweater has pockets, and pulls out a large length of his own rope, and says very calmly, since you seem to be the stealthiest of us, why don't you go in and do the initial tying, and I will help you drag him out.
Gladly. He smiled. Excuse me, is Rhodey offering the rope to him? To Zero?
Yes, he is.
Alright. Zero smiled, taking the rope. Gladly. He then turned and walked up to the door. He walked up to, went past the thing and walked up to the door. Is the door to the boss's room locked?
No, it is not.
Alright, so I guess I'm rolling stealth to open the door.
Yep.
Alright, check. Stealth. 16.
The door opens. There's a very slight creak from the hinge, but it's so old and rusted, you're not surprised. And what you are surprised by is how quiet it is. You would expect that a door that was that old and rusty to have squeaked a lot louder. And when you look in, you see this very, very, very large Toon lying in the bed. He's easily taller than Rhodey. And he's obviously a very big, muscular dude. And he's conked out and snoring. Now that you've opened the door, it's such a loud snore.
Zero outwardly just, his expression flattens, but inwardly he just goes, shit. We're gonna have to push him out the window.
Rhodey peeks in and says, ooh, big fella. And says very quietly, I think we can still drag him, because I know that I, for one, will not be able to lift him.
Zero
need a big bag.
Zero looks up at them both before going. Do I roll stealth again to go across the floor to the bed?
Yes. Although I will mention one thing. If you had tried to get him out a window, I was gonna have to say that you couldn't do that because the windows are about Cordelia size, which means you would not have had a chance in heck of getting him out that window.
Says you.
Maybe if you dug it out into a giant doorway, but that would make a lot of noise and be very noticeable.
Yeah, it would. 24.
Put butter on him and slide him through.
Oh yeah.
Well, I got oil.
Yeah, you not only do you get him tied up, you tie him up you get over to him, you are quiet as a cat. And cats are very damn quiet. Next, I'm gonna have to make you roll dexterity to see how well you hog tie this guy.
Okay, check. Dex. I'm just gonna... 10.
You get his wrists, and then you get kind of stuck because suddenly you don't know how to continue tying him. You get his wrists, you think you could get his ankle, but you're not really sure what would be the most efficient way to tie him up so you could get him out.
I'm gonna grab my own rope and see if I can, like, do a hog tie around his feet.
Well, actually, what I was going to say was, Rhodey steps in and very calmly reaches over and he says, "Let me help," very quietly. And now he is going to help.
Alright. Zero doesn't like it, but he takes a step back.
6. He gets the rope tied more securely. He stretches it down to the guy's ankles, and he's tied. That's the most you can really say about the situation.
Can I try again?
Yes, you may.
Zero sighs before stepping forward and trying with his own rope.
As Rhodey steps back and mutters very quietly, "I've never been good with... I don't think I've ever been good with knots."
20.
20! Dirty 20! Yeah, you tug... Now we go from the not so great tying to proper cartoon tying, where you have him so thoroughly roped up, he's like in a cone of rope now. He's not going to be moving an inch. Even if he does wake up, he's not going to be able to get out of it.
Yay. Zero turns to his adventuring companion, smiling slightly. Do any of you guys have more rope or even a thread of whatever it's called? Sorry, I'm being distracted by what's going on in the super chat.
And channel chattering.
Yeah, there's channel chattering, and they're talking about weird ass things right now. But okay, so Zero turns to his companions.
Considering he's wrapped in about 100 feet of rope at the moment, I think we have enough for a tail to drag him by.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like covering up his mouth so he doesn't yell.
Oh!
Does anyone have any fabric we could use to gag him?
You know what? Let's do a hammer space roll. So what it's basically going to be is someone's going to roll a d20, and the closer they get to 20, the more likely it is they grab the thing that they're after. If you crit fail it, you must roll from the fail table, from the fumble table.
Oh, that's gonna be great. So we all do it?
Yes, we're going to say that everyone checks their pockets.
12.
Queen, can you roll again? I think you put the X... it doesn't do editeds, I found.
Okay. Give me a moment. 12.
Everybody rolls a tail.
12!
Everyone pulls out a different thing. I'm going to say that Rody pulls out a bag. It's not a big bag. It's just a kind of little bag. Unfortunately, while being cloth and being the approximate size that most people would want for a gag, it is a bag. It's not going to do the job. What do you think you guys pull out?
I'd say the even smaller bag.
I feel like Cordelia pulled out a hat.
Alright, is it a long hat? Can we, like, potentially use it as a gag?
I feel like it's maybe like a bonnet.
I have a dagger. I'm trying additional skills. I'm trying to see if there's like crafting because I have a dagger. I could cut up the bag into a gag-like shape.
I'm gonna say, if you have a dagger and pull it out, Rody is the one who responds, says, Oh, I have an idea. Does anyone have a knife?
Zero pulls out his other dagger. So now he's holding two daggers.
He smiles and said, he leans forward and said, Allow me to borrow this for just a moment.
You break it, you buy it. Zero then hands him the dagger.
Just, I don't think we'll have to worry about that. And with that, very calmly, he uses the dagger to dig into the seam along the sides of his bag. And he cuts it so that it lays flat. And now you have a single long strip of cloth.
Yay!
And with that, he hands back the dagger and says, Well, now we have a gag.
Zero nodded. Who wants to do the honors?
Why don't you do them, since you've done so well so far? And with that, he hands the former bag over to you.
Zero takes the bag and nods before turning to the knocked out guy, knocked out boss, and starts to tie it up. Gag him. 20! Dirty 20.
Yeah, you make it. You tie him up, you've gagged him, he's now ready to roll. Now, I think we must hit the next most difficult part of this. We need to get this very big person out. And with that, considering there are 3 of you, it's time for a strength roll, everybody.
Strength. Check.
4.
16.
Alright. Zero and Rody you don't manage to pick him up, but you manage to move him off the ratty cot that he was laying on, and you manage to kind of half drag, half carry him out. Cordelia, you grab his feet, you lift them up. That is about as much as you are able to move. And with that, the 3 of you proceed out, and you manage to get out. Just as the girl had said, the rest of the bandits were not present. In fact, she, when you see her at the door, looks rather anxious, having seen the blood at the doorway the ink at the doorway, from the ink splatters from your arrows to the heads. You do not tell her what you think happened because you know, and you don't really want to reveal how much you know.
Zero waved.
Pointedly not looking at her.
Zero waved at the girl, before nodding to the tied up boss. We got him. We can go.
Rody makes a bit of a show of looking worried upon seeing the ink stains, but he continues playing to his ignorance, nods, and says, Come on, let's be quick and be careful. I don't want any of us to get into more trouble than necessary. And with that, you are out. I'm going to speed this along by saying that all of us make it safely to town without alerting anyone to anything being too horribly wrong, until, of course, we get to town hall, where we turn over the bandit captain, who by now has woken up and is very, very unhappy about his situation. But he did not break free, you have handed him over, and you have completed your quest.
Woo! I wanted to say something to the boss before we handed him over.
What would you like to say? Let's assume that we're in the building.
Wakey, wakey! Welcome to jail.
Rhodey looks
Sorry.
Rhodey looks amused, and Rhodey presents each of you. The next day, you are awarded 30 gold each for the capture of the leader of the bandits, who have now scattered because without their boss, they were really quite incompetent otherwise, and have scattered harmlessly now that they don't have anyone to direct them properly. The town awards you each 30 gold, and then Rhodey, very quietly, after speaking with Hawkeye, hands you each another 10 and says, "I'm sorry, but this is the most I'm able to give. I don't really have any money myself, but this is what Hawkeye has paid me. I'm surprised, considering, but this is about it."
Zero just nodded. Just nodded,
Okay.
taking away the money.
Well, Rhodey continues, "It was good meeting you both, and, well, I'm glad that we turned out that we didn't need any healing. Perhaps we'll meet again at some point."
Hopefully. And
Hopefully.
hopefully people won't die next time. Dying is bad.
Rhodey gives a tense smile and says, "Yes, we all hope that." And with that, you have ended everything. You have received your payment, and you are able to move on to wherever it is that you plan to go next.
I
And
want to walk up to Cordelia.
all right,
Cordelia, do you want to come with me? We worked well together.
Yeah, sure. I don't really have a plan for going anywhere, and I feel like it would be better if I wasn't alone. Because my friend tells me that I have this friend at my temple. His name is Damien. He's very worldly, and he tells me I'm kind of dumb sometimes because I keep charging into things without thinking. And it's probably good if I have other people to make sure I don't do that.
Zero blinked before nodding. Yeah, that is a good idea. All I'm doing right now is trying to gather coin. That's it. So, maybe together we can gather lots of coin.
Hopefully. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't really need a lot of money, but I'd be happy to help you.
Zero smiled a crooked grin. And I'd be happy to have your help.
all right. As a new duo is formed, the sun is now setting, as it turned out to take you most of the day in order to settle out with everything, as well as to deal with the congratulations of the town. And now, the journey is over, at least for the day. And we finished. Awesome job.
Yay!
Two people died.
Yeah, I have to admit, I did not expect the immediate knee-jerk violence at the start, and then suddenly everything being so peaceful for the rest of it.
I've played D&D before, and it's best to get the murder hobo-ness away first. So.
Well, you certainly managed it. I did not expect Rhodey to do a one-shot kill like that. He wasn't expecting it. Neither was I. I was expecting to miss.
It was very impressive.
It was.
Yes. But, well,
I'm definitely looking forward to the. This was really fun. This was really fun. Sorry for interrupting.
no, it's good. It's good. I was actually thinking that we could potentially do another campaign like this in 2 weeks or so, maybe. I think that that would be fun.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Yeah.
What do you think, Queen?
I'd be fine with that. Hopefully next time more people are feeling up to it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd say now everyone's ready to sign off, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. See you whenever the next session is, and I'm glad that this went well. I've never done this before. I'm so relieved that it didn't go horribly, horribly wrong.
You
Although,
did
admittedly,
absolutely amazing.
thank you. Although I will admit it was funny that Rhodey was the only one who fell through the floor. He was the only one who rolled bad enough to fall through the floor.
Well, that's his job.
Well, he's also the tallest. I did not anticipate him being the tallest of the group.
Told people. Told people.
Yeah. But he's a UPN. He's supposed to be like paper thin, but apparently paper thin does not equal light.
Yeah. Alright, see you next meeting.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. All right.